alongside medical researchers are excited about what could be a new weapon in the battle against Alzheimer's disease. For the first time, they have developed a blood test that may be able to predict whether someone will get the disease. That could lead to earlier and more effective treatment. We asked Dr. John LaPook to tell us more.
Okay, 15 here.
84-year-old Cappy Friedman watched her mother, 2 sisters, and a brother all develop Alzheimer's. She wonders if she's next.
I'm very, very concerned. I've had to watch, 3 siblings die from this dreadful disease.
Friedman and her boyfriend, 82-year-old Bob Ressler, enrolled in a study looking to see if a simple blood test could help predict her future. The study followed 525 people aged 70 and older. After 3 years, 53 patients were diagnosed with either Alzheimer's or early dementia. When analyzing the blood of those 53 patients, researchers found a group of 10 lipids or fats that were at lower levels than in healthy patients. Dr. Howard Federoff of Georgetown University is the lead author.
We had individuals who also were enrolled who were cognitively normal, and we wanted to know whether the blood test, the 10-lipid panel, would predict their cognitive impairment.
It did. Researchers tested the stored blood of 10 people who were initially normal but developed dementia over 3 years. 9 of the 10 tested positive.
If this is validated, what are the implications of the work? We have a basis on finding very much at-risk individuals, which has never existed before.
Bob Ressler and the other participants were not told the results, a condition of taking part in the study. If a test becomes available, he would want to get it.
If I have some disease, even though I couldn't be cured, I would certainly want to know about it.
Dr. Federoff says this work needs to be duplicated in other labs and with a larger number of patients. They did find 2 false positive results among 20 healthy patients and are working on ways of refining the test to make it more accurate. A little progress all the time. Thank you. The first numbers are in tonight on marijuana sales in Colorado. $14 million worth of pot was sold for recreational use in January when it became legal. That earned the state more than $2 million in taxes. Colorado officials estimate $70 million in tax revenue from recreational marijuana use each year, with most of that earmarked for school construction. Stand your ground laws are under fire tonight, and we'll have that story next. In Florida today, hundreds of protesters gathered at the state capitol demanding changes in the Stand Your Ground law. The law allows a person to use deadly force to defend himself even when retreat is possible. Mark Strassman is in Tallahassee.
In Florida's gun-friendly legislature, lawmakers want to allow people in fear of their lives to fire a warning shot at their attackers.
In Florida, we believe in robust self-defense laws. It's worked. It's created a 42-year crime low.
State Representative Matt Gaetz points to the case of Marissa Alexander. She was initially sentenced in Jacksonville to 20 years in prison for firing a warning shot at her abusive husband.
I'm more interested in closing a loophole where someone would be punished more for missing with a bullet than they would be for striking someone with a bullet in a self-defense circumstance.
11 states are considering bills to adopt or strengthen Stand Your Ground laws, but 12 states are deciding whether to weaken or repeal them.
I stand before you because I want you to see me as a mother, a hurting mother.
Sabrina Fulton wants Florida's law gone. As Trayvon Martin's mother testified before a Florida Senate committee, hundreds of protesters outside rallied in support of repealing it. George Zimmerman, a Crime Watch volunteer, killed Martin, claimed self-defense, and was acquitted of murdering the 17-year-old.
I feel like there is no justice in Stand Your Ground law.
And if it is expanded to include warning shots, what do you think is going to happen in Florida?
I think everybody is just going to go out and buy guns and shoot and say, okay, this is my warning shot. And I think it sends an awful message.
That woman who fired a warning shot toward her husband will be retried this July because of improper jury instructions. Scott, this time, prosecutors plan to push for a sentence not of 20 years, but 60 years.
Mark Strassman, thanks very much. There was a dramatic rescue today in North Carolina. A rock climber was was stranded for 3 hours after he tumbled down Shortoff Mountain. Rescuers couldn't reach him on foot, so a helicopter was called in and carried him away. The climber injured his back. He was taken to a hospital. Can humans survive a months-long trip to Mars? That story is next. Two Russian and an American are due home late tonight after 165 days aboard the International Space Station. That's a long time, but a flight to Mars would take a whole lot longer. Can the human body take it? Here's Chip Reed. Astronaut Michael Barrett spent more than 6 months on the International Space Station, making him well qualified for his current job as manager of NASA's Human Research Program, studying the effects of space on the human body.
The rush of fluids that are normally kept in your lower body by gravity all of a sudden are free to move up to your chest and up to your head, and it feels like you're hanging on the monkey bars.
Upside down.
Upside down. That's right.
Barrett, a medical doctor, says a more serious problem is that months in zero gravity can leave bones brittle and muscles weak. Fortunately, there's a simple solution: vigorous exercise that offsets the loss of muscle and bone mass.
It feels just like you're in the gym, and we work on squats very, very hard, as well as upper body work.
That exercise helped astronaut Tom Marshburn get through 4 strenuous spacewalks.
When I finished my 5-month mission, I was able to stand up, walk a straight line, and it's quite an accomplishment. We had not been able to do that before.
When not in space, Marshburn works on the strength and dexterity needed for spacewalks in a giant pool at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. But some effects of space on the human body don't have simple answers.
It's safe to say that radiation is our biggest concern.
It is the
By
biggest.
far. Radiation. Unfortunately, the spaceflight environment is a radiation environment.
Radiation, much of it from solar flares, can increase the risk of cancer. How can you reduce the risk?
The ultimate countermeasure would actually be speed.
Speed.
Absolutely.
How does speed reduce radiation?
Because it limits our time in deep space.
Flying to Mars with today's technology would take 6 months.
Well, what if we could fly there in a couple of months, a few weeks? That helps our radiation profile tremendously.
That kind of speed, though, is a long way off. But for astronauts, the lure of space travel overwhelms medical concerns. Would you go to Mars if you had the opportunity like that?
Let me go ahead and connect that.
A manned mission to the Red Planet won't happen for more than 15 years, but at the Johnson Space Center, they're already waiting in line. Chip Reed, CBS News, Houston. And that's the CBS Evening News for tonight. For all of us at CBS News all around the world, good night.